Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment section. In this video, we're going to review episode 3 of Yashahime. So in the first scene, we see Toa's still fighting the three-eyed centipede demon. Her sword breaks and she manifests a new one with her demon energy, and she penetrates the demon, she defeats it, but she doesn't fully finish the job. She leaves this to Setsuna. Setsuna gets the demon before the demon can attack the rest of the Higurashi family. The demon's completely put out of its misery, and you see the pearls start to manifest again, and the rest of the centipede disappears. The pearls go inside of Setsuna's eye and is restored back to Moroha. And in this moment, Moroha actually keeps the skull for bounty. So then Toa, now with a free moment, talks to Setsuna and is like, hey, do you remember me, essentially? And Setsuna has no recollection of who she is. She's like, why do you know me? And Moroha's like, oh, this is definitely your sister, in agreement with Toa. She can smell it on her and says that she's the daughter of Sesshomaru, and clearly they have the same lineage. Setsuna doesn't really want to accept that right away, so she challenges her to a fight naturally, very Sesshomaru-like spirit. And Toa doesn't really want to fight her. She kind of backs off of her fights instead of charging her. It flashes back to Kaede explaining to the Demon Slayers Sesshomaru came for his twins and left. No more explanation of that. Fast forwards to present day. A demon resurfaces itself from the final act. We see this demon, Hitokan, come in and basically take over Toa as a host. This demon has no power other than it can control its host and its host's powers. So in this case, Toa is obviously extremely strong, and now Toa's fighting Setsuna, but it's not really her, it's the demon. So then you really see Toa's full power in this moment. Then what happens is the demon leaves Toa's body and then escapes into A. Setsuna's ready to carve it out, essentially, and Toa's like, no, don't do that. Then Setsuna puts them all to sleep, and she basically puts this powder on Mei, and the demon comes flying out and dies. And another moment here is Moroha takes the body again for another bounty. So now she's got the three-eyed centipede head, and she's got the Hitokan, and she's gonna get the bounty for both demons. I'm out of the action scene, and the girls are staying at Soda's. So in this moment, you see the Higurashi family together, and you see Soda's wife. Firstly, that sword was on loan that broke from a museum. Soda seems to realize, and so does his mother, that Moroha is probably related to them, which means that all of them are probably related to them in some form. So they basically say, okay, the girls are gonna stay with us as long as they need to. They're kind of coming to all these conclusions. Moroha comes into the scene. She clearly has no modesty. I think this is a showcase of her just being a different era and not being used to the societal norms of that era. Very similar to moments that we've seen of her father. From that, we kind of move on to all the girls being in Toa's room. Toa's asleep. She kind of wakes up a little bit to listen into Moroha and Setsuna's conversation. So we're hearing Setsuna's story in Moroha's words, which is interesting because they didn't know each other before this, or at least it didn't seem that way. We learn Setsuna doesn't sleep. Setsuna said briefly, this person can't possibly be my sister if she fell asleep so easy. Then we learn that that ability was taken away from her sometime after she was with Toa. I wanted to break this down into a review and package it up in 4 different sections. So the first section I'm going to cover is fighting. We got a really good taste of Yashahime and themes that are going to be interwoven, very similar to its predecessor, Inuyasha. I don't think Moroha is going to have the same level to play in terms of being like her father. I think that this is going to be taken over by the twins, in the sense that Inuyasha and Sesshomaru used to constantly have these fighting bouts. It wasn't necessarily always about winning. Sometimes it was about killing each other. Sometimes it was just about fighting for the sake of fighting. And we see that kind of a fight play out here between Setsuna and Toa. Setsuna is really just testing Toa to really see, can this person possibly be related to me? Something similar that Sesshomaru has done time and time again with Inuyasha. Fighting was pretty crisp. We got to see powers kind of be defined a little bit more. Strength is the second part. Toa seems insanely strong. She definitely didn't know that she was that strong. This demon definitely brought more of that out of her. After seeing Setsuna's fighting style, she fights very similar to Sesshomaru. She's got that quiet confidence. She only puts the amount of energy out there that she needs to. She never overfights. We didn't really see her fight in the sense that she was ready to go out and kill somebody. The third thing I want to cover is knowledge. Knowledge, communication, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely a really big part of this show. And we have a bunch of theories, all based on knowledge that's either being shared or it's not being shared. Moroha definitely seems to know the most out of everyone. She definitely knows Sesshomaru. The only thing that surprises me is that she didn't call out that maybe she was related to Sesshomaru, but it seems like she relies very heavily on her nose. She smelled Toa, knew right away. She seems to know a lot about demons in general, powers, all that stuff. The second most knowledgeable person seems to be Kaede. Kaede knows the history and the background between Sesshomaru and the kids. Seems like she was the one that raised Setsuna. So Setsuna was missing for many years and then came to the village and said that she was going to be under Kaede's care. So Kaede knew all of this stuff and assumes that maybe Setsuna killed her sister or something. Maybe this was just the way that Sesshomaru raised his kids, was survival of the fittest. The last thing I want to talk about today is emotions. Toa feels guilt and sadness. She holds a huge cross on her back. She feels an insane amount of guilt over her sister, Setsuna. Setsuna not being able to sleep, not being able to dream, having issues, losing her memory. Not really sure why she ties herself to this, but she takes responsibility for it. She's basically in her head thinking, if I didn't let go of your hand, we wouldn't be in this situation. You would be happy because I remember when I had you in my life, you were happy and now you're not, so why aren't you? This episode definitely pulled at emotional heartstrings when it came to Moroha. So Moroha is reunited with the Higurashi family. Kagome's mom clearly knows that Moroha is related to them, so she sees it in her eyes. And we're really curious to learn more about Moroha. She knows a lot of things, but for some reason she's still alone. She seems happy, she seems fine, but you're really interested and invested in her backstory. Finally, Setsuna, but she seems very cold and removed. There's a deep sadness and a very cold way of handling herself. Like, I thought it was interesting in the show. She threatens to basically pull out the demon from Mei's eye. And I thought it was interesting because she's clearly been surrounded by humans and serving humans to some degree. You would think she'd be a little bit softer. There's some anger and unsolved things that lie within her for her to, even behave that way, considering she's basically been raised by humans. Overall, this episode was awesome. The graphics, great. The art, the music, great. I loved the fighting, best part. Thank goodness there's a lot of stuff coming our way. This is shaping up to be a really good show, and I'm so thrilled. This is a great way to bring in 20 years of Inuyasha. What did you think of Yashahime episode 3? What did you think about the fighting scenes? And are you excited for Yashahime episode 4? Leave your comments and let me know your thoughts.